always this horrible moment where you don't know if it's all going to work. You press the go live button and you hope it clicks in. Hey, everybody. It is a Friday. It is 11 a.m. in the Pacific, as we determined recently, the best time zone. But it's also 2 p.m. in the East, so that's where Alden Diaz is. It's Anytime with Ken Alden.
Hello. 2 p.m. on the East Coast. Feels like we're stuck in a time loop. We're always here. Maybe it's because I always wear the same things. I don't know.
Yeah, same. I keep it to the same things. It's just simple, man. It's just simple. But there's a bit of a different thing going on because of today's topic, a generational Q&A where you and me from different generations going to ask each other questions, trying to figure it all out. I wore my Steve Buscemi 30 Rock Hey Fellow Kids beanie.
You have a nice assortment. I just have a couple black ones. I like it. It adds a little bit of pop and flair. It goes with our colors. Got a little bit of the. I mean, I think it's purple, but I'm also red-green colorblind, so it's like you can't.
Oh no, it's purple. And I also just I was laughing while I was drinking. I just spilled live on air, just juice dripping down my face.
Hey, look with someone right here. Look, we got Jared's here doing taxes and watching. Oh man, that sounds boring.
That's what Ben Franklin was talking about. It was indeed. Hey, this show is going to be a different one today. I'll do the housekeeping of that up top, Alden. This whole started with, I love doing the news segment. The news segment's not going away from Anytime. We might be considering doing some changes to the format of the live show and doing the news as a separate video and segment on the Anytime channel. Stay tuned for that. But that's not why the news is not here today, Alden. I had one of those weeks, good and horribly bad, all mixed into one. Don't we all?
Yeah.
And I couldn't get the news done. I didn't even know what's going on in the world. Are we at war yet? Like with everyone? Like, I don't know. I just don't know. And so I had to pull the plug on the news. I apologize to you, sir, first.
Oh, don't apologize. I mean, I could have easily decided, you know what, I'll write the news. But then I also was having one of those weeks. And also, why would I want to write for you? You know, that would seem so like trying to imitate your friends. Like, I'm sure you've been in those spots. Like, oh, can you write this like he would? That's always weird.
Well, look, first of all, I'd love a fleet of writers, right? You know, like you see all the people out there doing this stuff. They're geniuses, yes, but they also have wonderful genius writers behind them. And this is my segment of the show, so I have myself, and I ain't no genius. So I'd like that. But one time on the Schmoes back in the day, I couldn't make the show, so they had Josh McCouga, an entertaining fellow in his own way and own right, write the news. And do the news as me, and it didn't go that well. And that wasn't about Josh or about me. It just was. You can't do that. You can't cross those streams.
It's different. Like it's imagining your late night host crossovers. You and I have talked a lot about that off air. Of like you need to do the thing, but also inject enough of yourself in it, but also acknowledge what the job's supposed to be. And it's a science. You blow yourself up.
You blow yourself up. Someone's wait, Alden's also red-green colorblind. So I didn't know that either. I just learned something new about you. That's there we have it. We're learning new things about each other.
Our friend Eli from the In a Galaxy Pod also runs our trivia league. Years back after high school, so that's this is my tenure. So this is the year we're supposed to have the reunion.
It's not my tenure.
Well, you can come to my 10-year.
It's my 30th anniversary this summer.
High school?
High school, yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man, we could do two reunion episodes this year.
Yep, we can. Anyway.
But so after high school, I'm in the car with my at the time girlfriend, and she's taking one of those tests. She got the brochure, the circles, everything, and she's passing it, and I'm like, no, that's wrong. There was nothing there. She goes, yeah, there was. And so she starts correcting mine. And it was like in Little Miss Sunshine when he finds out that he is colorblind. Yeah. Paul Dano's character, Dwayne. And I realized that I was failing it. And then I took it 2 more times to be sure. And I am mild red-green colorblind. So if there's something that's mint green, it looks gray to me.
Wow. So Mint, you don't sign up for Mint Mobile because to you, Ryan Reynolds is holding up a gray phone. Wow.
I can't see it. I don't see it. So I can see red and green, but I've always joked like in a sad boy way. I've never seen what Christmas really looks like. Wow. I've only seen a muted Christmas.
You haven't experienced the true spirit of Christmas. Wow. Nope. We're going to get to stuff soon here. We're going to do a generational Q&A. Alden and I have picked 3 questions, and I'm sure more conversations will come out of those. We're going to ask each other. They're in good spirits. They're not gotcha. They're not, hey, F you, old man, or hey, you little whippersnapper. They're just questions we have. We've worked together now for a while. We've been friends for a while, so we figured it'd be fun to do that. And we have a fun game attached to that. We got some stuff. We also want to do a little bit more housekeeping. Starting next week, this show will be live here on my channel for 1 more week, and then we're going to move everything over to the Anytime with Ken and Alden channel. It's just better. This isn't you in the audience. It's us. It's hard to say thanks for watching live here. Subscribe over to this other channel so that you can get videos over there. Though really, right now it's just rebroadcast of this show, and it's. And then I put the Taylor Swift commentary up a couple weeks ago, and it got a little bit of traction this week. Not earth-shattering viral traction, but it got some attention. There's some wonderful comments from people that actually are supportive of my takes on Taylor Swift and the NFL, but also some people who are really upset at the thumbnail and didn't watch the video, and either bots or not, it's hilarious stuff. But that kind of showed that, hey, I think we're going to push everyone to that channel. Just the right time, even though that's not a monetized channel. I'll keep the $2. You can keep the $2, YouTube. We're going to go over there and kind of concentrate on that. So, but starting next week, it'll be live there. It'll be live on my Facebook page. Try to get to the Anytime. And it might be live on Twitter. We might make it live on TikTok. We might be live anywhere, Alden. But the basis of the whole thing will be the Anytime channel. Anytime, anywhere, all at once, but with no Academy Awards, unfortunately. Yes. At least not yet. There's still time for both of us. But yeah, it's small, like algorithm nitpicky housekeeping things that don't really affect anything that we are giving all of you. Anything that you say to us. Party goes on. It's just what makes business sense. Yeah. At some point, you just got to lean into one spot, and you know, like I said, it's not anyone out there. It's reality of where you are. That's why I don't put, links barely even work on social media anymore. That whole thing. But like, I don't even put like a thumbnail photo up anymore on Twitter. I just put the YouTube link so it will populate and you can watch it right there. Because people don't want to leave apps. They don't want to leave apps. They like apps at bar and grills, but they don't want to leave apps on social media. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to be caught in the war of billionaires saying I'm going to bury these links. And there's nothing you could do about that. There's a Vox article out this week. I don't know if you saw this, Ken, about building your own brand. It's been going around. Oh, yeah. And Brian Ward said that, and I read it with tears in my eyes in my bed. Charlie Ashby said it to us, and I did the same. I was like, this is so... I feel seen, but also dead inside. The fact that there's authors of books who feel and have been told that in order to get book deals, you must go on TikTok and film yourself doing weird things as you write as a day in the life of the we're done. We're done. The fact that the opening example is they loved her idea and she got the publishing meeting. That in and of itself is like you're meeting with one of the big 5 and they love the idea. In any previous decade, you're in, baby. You're in. And now it's, well, you don't have the following. Isn't that what you're for? Isn't that what you do? Yeah. What about book tours and press releases and ads? Yeah. This is the world we live in. I was talking to you off air. I won't go too many details, but I was trying to get a job last week, and I was first told, you're overqualified. Why would you want this job? And I was like, because I need money. And then they rejected me this morning, by saying, you don't have the qualifications for the position. Just give me one direction and I'll go. Just tell me where to go. And I'll go build my brand on LinkedIn. It's a pain. Oh, yeah. Making sure your LinkedIn page is perfect. We can't stream live there, unfortunately, but we can't. I'll stream on LinkedIn. Maybe I'll stream on it. I saw a debate on it this week about the job board there is useless. Even if I've done the paid one for a little bit. Useless, spam. It's shady at best. One or two real jobs for every 20 bullshit job postings. But it's become this weird live, laugh, love. CEOs are the wisdom oracles of our time. Like it's a bizarre place over there. You got people like Bob Iger on there telling you about like drive and vision and creativity, and The Rock is liking and sharing it. Like it's just it's wild. It's absolutely wild. I mean, right here, real quick,
Like the stream. This is Andy reminding us to do what the influencers are supposed to do.
Oh yeah, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to my channel. Go down the links below. Subscribe to the Anytime. You see that was inherent. The problem was just inherent to the pitch, Alden. But you can subscribe to my channel here. We had I had a great live stream last night. Shout out to anyone who hung out with me for the 2-hour blathering live. Ask me almost anything. I want to say almost anything because there's things in my pathetic career that I've been around that are problematic drama things, and I'm not answering those questions. I can acknowledge the question, but I'm not going to answer it. But it was a good stream. It was fun. So there's still faith in the world. All right.
Oh man,
the TikTok apocalypse. The talk-pocalypse. What Ken came up with the catchy phrase. TikTok apocalypse. Universal. Not dinging this stream. Though there is new music out there. That's right. The new single from the Moonagers. We released the single one, which was part of our EP. But we have 5 tracks total, exclusive to Bandcamp right now. The Moonagers.bandcamp.com, and more on that later in the show. So Universal can't mute that yet because we're not signed. We're paltry independent artists. Indie, baby. Indie rock. You are forming quite the club here, Alden, with the Red Green Colorblind Club. Steve's in with you, too.
I didn't realize that there were so many of us out there seeing slightly off shades. PLD was also in the comments, Paul. Devastating truth right here. You've never watched Luke, Vader, Return of the Jedi duel the proper way. That hurts, man. That's enough to get me to get the glasses.
Get the glasses. I don't care what they look like. But you've seen it enough because you have strong opinions about Luke Skywalker's green lightsaber, right?
Yes. Despite the fact that I may have never seen its actual shade, I know it's green. I see the green, and it is the best lightsaber. Period.
Okay, that's fair. I'm with you on that there. All right, as we always do, this segment is going nowhere here. Alden, we asked this question to ourselves, and you provide the answer. Alden, what Ben Affleck are we?
In the spirit of generational change and the crossover from Gen X to the millennials, now to Z, we have somebody in Ben Affleck who has been there for all of them. So I picked 90s Ben, featuring his buddy Kev Smith, who's also still working, still rocking and rolling in the nerd world. Both of them working, writing, producing. But look at them. Look at these babies right here. This right here. I was literally a newborn when this photo was taken, I believe.
Scary.
Look at
that face. Look at those faces. How much has changed and how much has not changed is amazing. I have it on good authority that whenever this photo was taken, Kevin was probably already 2 hours late for it.
That is probably true. And it's just weird to think, like, you hear their stories, if anyone's ever heard, like, how they were friends back then and then didn't talk for a while, and then things change, but then they go back and they end up being the same. And Kevin's at his wedding with J-Lo, and they're friends again. And
David McKay brings a comment up about that picture. Back when mullets still weren't cool. I'm still struggling with the fact that we've been talking about this, that mullets are considered cool again. What are you doing, people? What's wrong with your generations?
It's weird to consider. Like, there's these lines, these blurred lines of like, what's a mullet, what's not, what's the undercut, what's the wolf cut, all those things. And I think that, women and femme presenting individuals and sort of the way that we have brought a wider lens to the gender conversation on the internet and on the ability to share your hairstyle quickly or share your hairstyle journey. Like, here's like 8 styles I had this year and you could document them all. Like, I think we've made the mullet more palatable by exposure. Like, it's weird because when I grew up, even when I was little, it was, a quote unquote silly Southerner beer drinking haircut,
hockey playing. Yeah. And I had one. It was the style at the time. So I had the relief pitcher mullet. As we seg into our main topic today, which is this generational Q&A, which you and I, not to be clear, I'm smack dab in the, I was going to say middle, but not really middle, the late Gen X. I'm almost the forgotten generation, 76. You were technically young millennial, right?
I'm a cutoff millennial. Like, I was born in 95. So 28-year-olds and people born in 95 are the final millennials. We are the cutoff before it turns to Z.
You are the last ones.
And even Z now has children and they have their own name. You know, because if
The
you
alpha,
could
right?
alphas, yeah,
Gen
they're going to
alphas.
the Greek alphabet now.
We're going back so far. We're in front of us. Okay, so yeah, to get that clear, but this is part of that generational conversation, and it's possibly already happened to you
Mm.
when fashions that were from the past start getting picked up again. Like I don't
Yeah.
necessarily have a problem with it, but and I all the things you're saying about people and knowing who they are and presenting who they are in this way, that's part of the questions I have coming for you. Even it's a wonderful generation for that right now. But I think something weird happens when you're looking at something where you're like, it's not just that it's the mullet wasn't cool or was it's just you look at it, you're like, don't repeat our mistakes. Don't do this to yourself. Don't do whether it's right or wrong. That's the initial reaction. Like,
Yeah.
don't do that to yourself, man. You're gonna, you know, that's
And
where I
then
go with that.
I think that lends itself to another question, which is you have the reaction of don't do that to yourself. But then I think the emotional root of that is, or wait a second, was it my group that simply couldn't handle it? You know, if they're making it look so good and sexy and cool and rock and they're bringing it out to fashion. I mean, Florence Pugh
Maybe,
buzzes her hair off and grows it out
yeah,
multiple times over the past
that's
few years
fine.
and has wacky hair and different things from different eras.
Yeah,
And as she's one of many, and she's owning it
mm.
and one of the biggest stars. Was it simply that X, for example, or in my case, millennials, we see low rise jeans coming back. It was like 2000s, your jeans had to be right there, right at the
Yeah,
edge, and then mom, quote unquote, mom jeans came
mom.
back, high waisted.
Yeah,
Now we're descending back in,
yeah,
and
yeah.
so
The high waisted jean conversation is interesting too. Like I and especially if you want to wear them, wear what you want. Like no, you don't owe me low rise jeans, right? No one does. But yeah, I remember I had that reaction too. I was like, oh, what? Why are you doing that? Don't do that. We
yeah.
fought through that, so you didn't have to do this. But again, that might be right, might be wrong. The figure report. Check out the figure report. Michael Benjamin Hernandez. He's got a wonderful large collection of Poe Dameron figures. He says the Final Millennials is my favorite emo rock band. I think.
Hey,
I think that's you need to pitch that book project. Right, get your brand up and then pitch that book project. The Final
right,
Millennials.
yeah. I'm gonna write the final millennial starting tonight while
Yeah.
lighting candles and dancing.
There's Molly Davis's miss how easy short hair was. Yeah, I remember when Molly had a great cut. She went real short. I was like, perfect on
Yeah.
time. But it's like I'm not going to judge anyone's hair, but it's like if Molly had come up with like a flock of seagulls, I would be like, oh, don't do it, Molly. We don't need that. We hurt so you can get better. Like it's
But
It's,
Molly's a great example. Star Wars Explained fans will know Molly
mhm.
when you came on camera, long red hair,
Yeah.
then short as can go, in like the Spider Gwen cosplay
Mhm.
era. Now growing back out. So Molly, do you let the past come back, or are you itching to chop it off?
Yeah. How
The end.
high are your waist? Do your jeans go up to your waist? That's what the world needs to know. And how high does Alex's pants go up? Is what we need to know.
Is
too,
Alex
as
wearing
well.
Jinko jeans? Is Alex bringing back frosted tips? That
Oh,
can stay dead.
No, yeah. See, you reacted to that. That could
That
stay
can stay
dead. And
dead.
I didn't do it because this is the height it was when I was working my security job. My hair was real tight, no facial hair. But I had friends in that era who all had the puka shell necklaces and the frosted
Ooh,
tips.
yeah.
If you show up to the taping one day here, I said it like I'm in the 50s. If you show up to the live stream here all that and you have frosted tips and puka shell necklace, I'm telling you to turn around and get out of here. You don't need to do that.
You're going to send me straight to generational rehab. Some things
Look
we
at
leave
this.
in the past.
We've got jeans explained here. Molly says Alex's jeans are whatever I buy for him. Woo!
Ooh, that's so much power. Buy him skinnies.
Power.
Buy him black skinnies.
I like that. I picture at the end of summer, Molly takes Alex around to like Mervyn's and May Company for school shopping. These are your jeans for the year, Alex. These are your jeans.
Here's your BB-8 backpack. Here's your new Vans.
You get 4 pencils, 4 pens. I'll get you an eraser, and you're set for the year. And we'll get you a Trapper Keeper. Oh, this is.
Is that what it's like being married? Jotting that down for a future episode. What is it like being married?
Mileage may vary. Yeah. I'm trying to think of an example. Like there's some household supplies. Grace is in charge of those. but she'll be like, you get over the hell jeans you want, just don't wear those.
Right.
But
it's more what not to do than
yeah.
here's what I'm telling you to do.
I do want one day we'll just bring Alex and Molly on. I do want more of this story.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay,
Back to school shopping.
yeah.
All right. So, all right. In the time we have here today, so thank you all for watching the show. Because it's a bit of a different energy on the other time today, and we thank you all. This is the 11th episode. As I said at the top of the show, I got my Steve Buscemi, hello, fellow students and children, beanie on. We're gonna ask some generational questions, and generation on generation is what I called it. But then I don't know if maybe that's too hot. Maybe it's too hot. HAWT.
Other generations in your area.
Yeah, there you go. And this is just to spur some conversation, just to spur some discussions about what's going on, the questions we have, and then at the end of it, we're gonna have a little fun, a little round robin of pop culture references to see how much we get, which I predict you'll be better at, because it's harder to follow the next generation than it is to look back on what is already history. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here you go. I'll start. I'll set the tone here. Question them. I was struggling to how to phrase this, so bear with me, Alden. All right,
Please.
which is another thing I feel I learned about you and the younger generation. Sometimes I just have to say, hey, all the words I'm about to say might not be perfect. Bear with me as I work through it, okay? Can we agree to those terms?
I give you all the grace that I possibly can.
God, thank you. Thank you, younger generation. Thank you. You are a generation, and I put generations because I know you're on the cusp. So millennials, young millennials, Gen X, not so much the old millennials because they're basically me. You are a generation that is more in tune and in touch with yourself, your feelings, your desires, your own personal obstacles, meaning things that you know about yourself, and I'm red, green, colorblind. But what do you feel is missing about your self-care journeys? Because you're on self-care journeys unlike previous generations. But how do you balance knowing who you are and being confident and discovering who you are with changing who you are and growing, which is a natural part of life?
I think what's missing from our self-care journeys as a generation is, and it's going to sound like a joke, but you'll know what I mean, is quiet. I think some quiet would be so great societally, socially. There has not been a period in my life for the last maybe 10 years where I haven't been talking to, in some form, in some messenger, email, or app or text, 20 people a day at least, in some form.
Right.
Whether there's a lull or whatever, the quiet is so valuable, and I've gotten almost none of it, I feel like, and I think a lot of people feel that way too, in terms of always being plugged in and always being presenting whatever Alden or you know, or Maddie or Molly or Mike or anybody in the comments, whatever version is best for that day is work. So the emotional labor is always so high, and the time without it is almost non-existent. And so you end up feeling this trap of like, I would just like to exist for a second without worrying about the next thing. And that's I think is what's missing.
I think that's a great answer. You really, I wasn't even thinking it would go to that, and I love that. And again, jokes aside, trying to work through it there. It's not just so much that you're saying, hey, I need to go to a cabin for a weekend and write a poem and not speak to anyone, but it's just that there's a constant, like the text messages. I have that too because I'm young and hip. Some people are like, did you get my text? And I'm like, well, it's now 20 texts down the chain, right? If I didn't get it, read it, respond right then, enough people have communicated where I got to. And that's daily, right? And it's not that I'm a popular kid. It's just the way we all communicate. But your generation and generations younger than you, you grew up with all this. Messenger, all that stuff was just a natural part of the existence. And I don't look down on it. But in that, you feel as though you lose a little bit of self. Am I right there? Or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's only so many pieces of yourself that you can give away a day. And whatever that means to anyone within the metaphor, they'll understand at least the basic concept of what I'm saying. Like you have emotional bandwidth, you have an emotional data plan, a mental data plan in terms of what you're able to do. We might have moved on from minutes, but your mind didn't.
That's fascinating. And you got Maddie saying it's hard to find the silence in yourself and trying to sit for 5 minutes. You feel like you need to be doing something. Molly Damon says it seems like no one can afford to take real breaks from all forms of work these days, which is true. It's the hustle thing. We all got to do 12 things. But also, even going back to what we were talking about in that article from Vox at the top of the show, you might be an author, but now you also got to be a TikToker to help your author career. But also, if you're a plumber, and you got a wonderful, successful plumber business, to compete, you might also have to have a brand. And like an online person, like it's a constant thing, and we're always on. And Maddie's point is something I don't want to speak for her, but I know, I guess I will a little bit. But my partner Grace, like, there's a lot of times where like I have to sit and tell her, she's 14 years younger than me. Cancel me for that. Kidding. No, really, do it. I have to almost take away her laptop. You sit here for 5 minutes. You sit here because she feels if she's not working, not doing something, not communicating, there's a struggle in it. Dare I say a shame? Like I'm failing in these 5 minutes. You're always on.
And it causes even an inverse effect of like what I call the paralysis of choice, where if I finish up work with the day job, or if I finish up a project or a podcast recording, and I'm like, I have X amount of hours before I really should go to bed. Then every film that I want to watch, every book in my to-read pile, every song that I know has released, every comic that I'm behind on, they all flood into my brain, and I don't know where to go. And I don't know. The things that you love and enjoy turn into objectives to cross off because it's out of your control. It's not that you want them to be that. It used to be like, I'm going to read comics to unwind. And now it's like, is the comic reading the best use of my time? And that makes me want to scream. Getting to that place makes me want to lose it.
Yeah. Okay. This is great. This is fantastic. And there's some angle I have. This is where I could dance up against the wall of paralysis analysis is real. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Have you ever walked into a Chili's 2 at an airport and looked at that menu? There's too many choices for me. Is that what you meant, Mike?
Bacon ranch quesadilla.
There's something too where part of what I look up to your again I'm going to say it too much to what's going to be your generation means the both of you, the youngers, the kids out there who are 30. I look up to you for knowing more about who you are and having a little bit more access than we had to I have ADHD or OCD and all those things, and you can make jokes. Well, my day we didn't have that. It's like, yeah, because we didn't know, and we didn't know what the problem was. We were just told to sit in the corner, and we call you a bad name, and that's who you are. That's Chuck the crazy kid, right? Versus Chuck's got these, and so you all have the ability to have that, and you own it. I sometimes struggle with I want to. It's my generational instinct to force you to sit down, to learn more about yourself, to move forward, to change. That might how do you live with that, and how do you own that person who you are, and not put that above me in your relationship, not in terms of like romantic, but interpersonal working relationships, or and I struggle with that sometimes, where I'm like, you're all very self-aware, but also you can't treat me like that. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. And I think that's part of the. I mean, we didn't do the. How did you come up with this topic? But like, I think that a lot of that is at the root of why it would occur to you or anyone older than our age group to look at us and get those insights out of the difference. I think that's that disconnect, or that it's almost like a hyper connection. Like there's something that. There's something that gets lost in being so relentlessly aware.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You said it. Relentlessly aware is a great way to look at it. And I'm. It's just like I said. This isn't we're not doing this Q&A to poke, shake, scream at clouds. But it comes out sometimes, or I run into it sometimes, and we're like, you're late for this show. Not you, but you're late for this stand-up show. And you say, well, that's just, I have this, I'm this, TikTok told me this. And I'm like, I don't care. The show starts at 7. And that's where I run into it. And that's where I become grumpy old man. It's like, you're too self-aware.
And I get that too. I and we'll talk about that a little bit too. And one of your later questions about where I feel like, and I think a lot of people, especially nerds, feel generationally displaced a little bit.
Yeah. And are we getting some breaking
Holy,
news?
what?
Carl Weathers has passed away.
What the?
Oh
No
no.
way.
Very sorry to hear that. Oh my no, God.
Ah,
76.
I'm
What?
checking everywhere. I just,
Yeah, that's I'm seeing all that PLD just put it in chat here. We're live, folks. Yeah, oh, that's real.
oh
That's just
man,
breaks my heart there. Speaking
that
of
is devastating.
speaking of someone from an older generation who got it and rolled with the new and stood for what's right and went through so much.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely. I mean, this is a person who he was already larger than life for you guys as kids, for Gen
yeah,
X as children. He was a
yeah,
larger than life adult, and he stayed that way and could poke fun at himself and
yeah.
could,
God,
yeah.
his quasi comeback with well, first Happy Gilmore, but then Arrested Development, where it was the Carl Weathers laughing at Carl Weathers. Oh, God, it's just, and then of course leading up to Mandalorian, where we were fortunate enough to have 3 great seasons with him. Um, that's sad. Well, that's we're gonna keep going here, but we're gonna take a moment.
Yeah, I think at the end there's another somebody who's passing. I noted Mark Gustafson and the director, and it's
Yeah,
doing the breaking news about a death thing is always weird. We
you
both
know,
been there. Um,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. There's
damn.
I was on air when Princess Di passed too, and I announced that.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Carl Weathers, absolutely one of the best. Gosh, Happy Gilmore too. One of speaking of generational movies for me at
Yeah.
least. Well, and keeping in that, we're gonna go on here. But anyways, you've answered my questions well. You made a lot of sense. I appreciate that. I'll fail to
Yeah.
answer yours. Go ahead and ask one of yours.
No, it's all right. Something a little bit lighter here. And again, everybody in the comments, don't feel bad about talking about Mr. Weathers or anything like that.
Yeah,
And
please don't.
please share some stuff and we'll get to them. But uh, love, Ken, love's
Mm-hmm.
universal. All generations have had
Love,
love. Now, how
love
was
will
the
keep us together.
hey, don't do that. They're gonna copyright strike us. They're gonna copyright strike us for that one sentence. How is the Gen X, teens, late teens, early 20s dating experience different from the modern dating experience? And do you think that
Mm.
tech changed everything? Do you think that that is reductive? Did tech really change everything, or is it the same stuff just presented differently?
Yeah. I'm getting texts about Carl Weathers here. No, tech has changed it, and not not all in a bad way. I think it's easy to blame dating apps, but also it provides access. I've seen a lot of it work. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily endorse it as something to do, but like I have one of my close friends. He and his wife have married coming up 20 years, and they're an eHarmony story. They went and filled out the questions and met each
Wow.
other. And I remember their first date,
That worked
and
for someone?
it worked. They're married, and again, I'm not endorsing eHarmony. There's some stuff in there, but it worked for them. And I can make jokes and self-loathing jokes myself. I didn't date in my teens and 20s. I was a shy little boy, but that was also part of the problem. Is meeting folks. You had a lot of access, but I was a shy, antisocial kid. So I spent a lot of nights alone in high school studying baseball stats and recording radio shows in my room to myself that no one would hear. So I didn't have the chance to meet people. I didn't have the chance, and therefore know what you want and know who is out there, and and know who you are in that journey. I felt it was tougher in a sense. It doesn't mean, again, I've heard all the complaints. I've seen the complaints. I was hilariously at a party. I'll keep names out, where three of the girls started chatting about a guy I dated, and one of them was like, yeah, it was kind of weird. Like he had a bicycle. He rode the bicycle to the date, and the other girl, because that's weird. Like 2 weeks ago, I had a date with a guy who rode a bicycle. Another one goes, "Are you talking about Jason?" And they're like, yeah. And they all pulled out their dating app, and dating different people isn't the problem, right? But he had a template and was saying things and was lying about everything, and it wasn't good. It wasn't a good example of just like, hey, he's playing the field in a respectful way and he rides a bicycle. It was all like, they were all just like, huh? And they confronted him. We were all at this party. We're like, do it. And there's that kind of stuff that goes on that and I touched on him a little bit, but I ended up, every one of my relationships in this modern age, including the one I'm in now, that's my forever relationship, it was all work related. It was all in front and having that friendship form first. And that's how I function. So I think that's why I struggle with the dating. But I still think I look to the positive sides of social media of and even comments on our YouTube, like we there's a dark downside to all of it. But I have so many friendships and partnerships and lasting relationships from social media that I'm going to always try to take the good with the bad. So the dating apps has opened the world like it wasn't for me in 2001 even.
Now, do you think that the actual content of the conversations or the way people approach others has changed from, that 90s period to now? Do you find it to be, with the social awareness that we touched on in your first question, is there a little bit of a, we're looser, we're weirder, we're more willing to fail, or has the hyper awareness made it more, I'm afraid to be seen in certain ways? Because fear of being perceived is such a big thing.
It could be. I don't have as much. I have a list of friends I could bring on to maybe answer this question better. But yeah, there's a little bit of you got a front, right? You got your work brand, your life brand. Now you got your dating brand. You got to form your dating brand, and you got to maybe live up to that. People can hide things easier. Again, it's the negative side. I did have my first real big relationship. I was a late bloomer, but my first in the mid 2000s, I dated someone I met on MySpace. We first initially communicated on MySpace.
You were coding your profile, doing layouts.
Yeah, choosing my profile song. I think it was even before that. It was early MySpace, and she was able to hide a lot of things that we ended our relationship after 2 months. She was going through some stuff, no shame. We eventually, a couple years later, made nice, and it was all fine. I have no ill will, but the top 8 didn't include her drug dealer. Let me just say that.
Top 8.
He wasn't listed there. So you still have to discover who people are. That maybe you could also have a fear of, are they going to go look back and see something about me? So I don't know if I answered your question directly, but that's how I've got a feel on that.
Yeah, I think you answered it really well and found the ending to a bit. I think that.
Yeah. Write that down. You might. Someone remember that. I am working on new material. Mark and I are heading out. Mark and I will be in Boston first week of April. Information to come. That's great. That's funny. That's hilarious. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah. So again, it's dramatically changed. Look, you still had the VHS dating things out there. I like Steffi Dixon. I missed the drama of MySpace 8. Yeah, really true. And when they expanded it, first wasn't like top 4 or 5, then it was like top 8, then it was like top 16, and I took a big sigh of relief. But it was important. Yeah, who you put in your top 8?
There was a lot of that back then, because which network ran on the Fave 5 for a long time? Was that Singular or
Singular Wireless, which was my first cell phone provider.
Pick your Fave 5, and it was the contacts that weren't subject to limit.
Yeah, 8984 amps is VHS dating. What I mean by that is there was the dating services, and you get a VHS tape, and every once in a while the same clip pops up. It's a bunch of dudes from the 80s in crappy fashion that should never come back, sitting there just saying stuff like, "If you're a smoker, I don't want to date you. I'm clean." And point being, the choice of men has always been pretty paltry for ladies seeking men out there. So, Laserbolt, who's older than me. Sorry to out you, Laserbolt. Says dating nowadays must be pure hell. With a lot of people airing out their dirty laundry online. I see it all the time. Yeah, there could be some of that. But then my thing, my counter to not even counter to that, Elizabeth, my tag to that is, at least now you know.
At least now you know.
Now the truth can come out. And I'll say this too, and maybe Elizabeth was kind of referencing this, like there's a little bit of like, I don't like to use social media as a journal entry unless it was on MySpace where I could do my journals.
Right.
There's sometimes I've had some friends whose relationships have ended and it got messy online fast. And some of the parties, like, I still hold resentment against, like, for them doing that to my friend, but that's maybe a different conversation.
Yeah.
All right. Great question. Good stuff. This is a lot of fun. And I told you we were going to try to do this in an hour, so we'll get going here. How do you value and measure the experiences of the previous generations, particularly Gen X, because that's me, and how much do you weigh them against your own present day paths?
I weigh them. It makes perfect sense. And my answer in short is entirely case by case, entirely situational.
Okay.
I've always had immense love for stories of old. I loved listening to World War II vets or non-vets in the diner, back in Connecticut when I could. And I like hearing stories about, especially the business. You and I have that in common. We love reading old entertainment stories, comedy stories, wrestling stories, whatever it is. And that stuff always fascinates me. And I love people that hold court. I love the wellspring of knowledge and all of that. But I also need to know, like, much like dating, I where are you at on these key things? Because if your views on certain things are, demeaning to others, don't value inclusivity or any of the things that we have found in the time gap between us, if you're not there, then we're good. Then I maybe I could put it in a historical context. But even then, like we have to do that with certain people. We're Star Wars fans. We read Joseph Campbell. We put him in his context. But Bob at Burger King, I don't have to really give him the same grace that I would a writer.
So it's not so much, yeah. So it's definitely not the experience. You're right. I love history too. I love reading about someone's experiences in 1880. You're hearing me talk about, all of you do not have mullets. Trust me, trust me. But if I push that to then attacking, because we have friends who have wonderful hairstyles that I might go, I don't know if you want to do that in 30 years, but I celebrate who they are, right? If I use my history and experiences as a dam on your flowing river, that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's when it becomes this is no longer generational exchange. This is, you think everything after you is incorrect in some way. And then we're wasting time. So I think with a lot of things, it's case by case, who can change, who can be redeemed, who has something still to offer, who doesn't, who knows that they are passing the torch and who doesn't.
Right. How I don't know if this, how perfect are you expecting people to be? I know you're not expecting perfection, but like you talk about the context, the change, the timings. How much grace do you as a generation or you, Alden, give to folks who are close to you, who are valued? Maybe not Bob at Burger King's.
Yeah.
God bless Bob. He's got a good job. I need his job. But yeah. How much grace is given to those who are also learning, hopefully? And how much do you factor that in?
This is when it's about personal flaws, less than I used to. I think that I give less than I used to. I know I do. Part of it is the climate of our country in the last few years. Part of it is just personal experience. I can be cutthroat to a fault these days, and I know that about myself. I'm trying to work on it, but I think that there's value in admitting your own fallibility. And so I probably should give more. What am I looking at? You're right. I'm not looking for perfect, but I think I'm looking for, especially in the older crowd, the people that say, I know that I'm in the older crowd, but I want to, like we touched on with Mr. Carl Weathers, uh,
Carl Weathers. Yeah, yeah.
adapt and say, oh, this is the kind of comedy they're doing now. I'll do that. This is the type
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
older role that I can get now. I'll do that.
Right, 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 right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, no. All of it makes sense. And again, it's there has and it can only be understood as you grow older. And even jokes aside, you being on the cusp, like if you haven't started experiencing it, you will. I remember Emma Fife had some wonderful tweets about being like, "Oh, I've just been called old, like not by age, but by generation and
Yeah.
hipness, and and it does happen. And what what I'm trying to get across and struggle with in my own life is like a lot of problems. We can point a lot of problems with the Boomer generation. Got it, marked. But like those I know and love in the Boomer generation, who are not inherently bad people, are struggling to understand that change. Right? That wait. I not even that I had the power position, but like this. Well, this is what we thought and what we did, and you now disagree with me. Got it. But why do you hate me? Like
Right.
and I'm trying to give them the time and grace to change along with me. And you're right. Some points it's a cutoff. I have less friends from my older days than I do ever because like, hey, you're not gonna. I don't need you to change, but if you're not going to change, the only thing we have in common is the past. So I'm with you on it. I like to think I'm more of a Carl Weathers than I am anyone else. But yeah, I mean, we all can't be Carl Weathers. Rest in peace, Carl. You be
No.
peace. But you know what I mean? And that's the only thing where I think there's some people in my life, the younger generation I talk to, where I'm like, your parents do love you. They just don't understand what's happening. And you maybe have to help explain the changes to them if you can. And doesn't mean you have to. And I'm not talking about again the ultimate, the extreme cases where you need to step outside of family. And I'm just talking about in general. They don't understand it. If you want to help them understand it, you might come to a better place, or you might just leave, but in a better way. I don't know.
Yeah, but Andy's comment here, I think, is really important. All the love and patience for folks who are trying their best in learning. Zero patience for folks who have no interest in it, and
Yeah.
that becomes the hard find the distinction territory.
Right.
When can we? It takes a lot of empathy. It takes a lot of insight to be able to determine, is somebody coming from a place of a desire to change, or is it just manipulative. It's hard, and there's no right answer, which is why it has to be case by case.
Case by case is fine. Yeah. I share an opinion with some friends in my age group that the younger generations really love to scold. That's general. There's a scolding going on, and the scolding I kind of laugh at. I'm like, just you wait. You're gonna. I have a bit about it in my stand-up. The next generation's gonna knock at your door one day, and so that creates friction, and now I have to remind myself, you're all coming up too, and I better be changing too. Otherwise, I really agree with Andy on that one. Like, I see it so many times in the comedy world, where you're up on stage convinced that you are right and everyone is wrong, and that's less interesting to me than you're all right and I'm trying to figure out where I stand in that.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't imagine what it's like in comedy. Oh man, that's probably one of the hottest, tension-filled areas for this. But
yeah,
absolutely.
Oh yeah, great, good stuff. All right, thank you. You got a lot of good stuff here. Your help. I'm taking notes, Alden. I got them on the meeting.
All right, one for you, sir.
Okay.
Was there more of a comfort, personally or societally, whatever angle you want to take on it, in not knowing things due to the lack of readily available information about literally everything and everyone? So everything, societally, that's, how does this work scientifically? What is this country's stance on blank? But also, my coworker, what did they do on their vacation? Like, you guys had the early internet, you had forums, you had the ability to do some searches, but the level of plugged in was entirely different. So was there a comfort there in just being like, guess I'll never know?
Yeah, there is, and there's sometimes a bit of a dangerous ignorance. That's my sea change in my politics, literally who I vote for, my social view of the social issues in the social world. It changed because more information became available. Right. This is stuff we've talked about before, where I'm like, wait, that happened in 1921. And no one told me. I didn't have access to the information. Well, that changes a lot of things, the way I look at things. For me, unraveling the lost cause mythology was big because it just was like, I can make fun of Nikki Haley all day, but like I grew up being taught, Well, I mean, slavery is the simple answer in the Civil War. It was really, but that's what stuff I was taught in school. And obviously there's this giant big picture around every historical time period, war, movement, everything. I get that, but you know what I mean? Like, but I didn't have the whole picture. So I think that's the good side of it. The other side of it is kind of what you touched upon. That's maybe the big serious thing. All the other thing is like I saw Laserbolt's comment earlier about, hey, like I was old enough that I didn't grow up with any of this stuff, and it was I could function. And I paraphrasing Laserbolt. I cannot tell you how many times where I just want to go onto social media, no matter the format, and just comment okay to every effing post, because I think almost 90% of the posts just deserve me going, okay. I don't need to know this. No one needs to know this. And that includes some of mine. My Facebook memories pop up, and I check them almost every day to make sure, was there something I was unaware of that I need to, we don't do that anymore. And I don't necessarily have any of that, but you also can't help it. Time changes things and it slides along. So you want to make sure. But there's a lot of times even I'll post like, going to Target to buy shorts tonight. Okay. Like, we don't need to shut up. Just go to a cabin with Alden and be quiet for 5 minutes. Like, we don't
100%. You're all welcome. You don't need to tell us about it. It always seems to be travel to airlines. Yeah. Everyone's got like let me tag this corporate account as if they're gonna check. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes they do.
Sometimes it works. I don't like to be
Excuse me, Delta. I have never in my life had a service like that. Stop it. Just stop.
Yeah, I don't even follow this person anymore. There's a colleague that was mostly their online brand, was just yelling at all the people that wronged them every day. And it was like, do you have any respect for the working stiff out there from your ivory tower that you think you're in? Yeah. Okay. That's what I would respond.
Absolutely. So it sounds peaceful. Sounds nice back then.
Yeah. Jerry says exactly what happened for my politics worldview. Get more information. I got to know more people from their backgrounds. Yeah, and I don't mind small towns. This isn't. I mean, don't try that in Jason Aldean's small town. But I come from a smaller town too. But it just naturally, and the era I'm in, it was just naturally monochromatic and. And I wasn't exposed to a lot. I couldn't help that. And it's a great area to live in, and no problems with my parents bringing me there. They did what they could. And my mom and dad did teach me, good things, and good core morality core moral issues were put into me, just with an injection. But yeah, I hit LA, and it's suddenly you're just like, oh, that country is that clip with Tom Cotton going around today, talking to this week of the CEO of TikTok and confusing him being from Singapore and being from China, like bad on so many levels. Oh. But I don't think I knew that 15 years ago, 25, definitely not 25 years ago when I moved to LA, because Asian was what I was, you know what I mean? Like, and you have to, the information comes to you and you have to learn and adapt, and hopefully go into our last question. But yeah, that's just, there's all this information is I think a bonus.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well said. A Force Center.
Had a lot of good conversation about libraries. My friend is a librarian, Carbon Swap in chat, and you all should go visit your libraries. There's a great one up in Thousand Oaks too.
And if you are sick of the streamers, you can stream a lot of films and television through your library.
That's right. All right, I'm gonna have you. I'm gonna have you go next, and then my third one's gonna close up the segment.
Sure. What do you think were the biggest fears for Generation X, and have they come to pass?
A little bit, meaning like Reality Bites is the Gen X movie. That's even in my thumbnail, right? Ethan Hawke from that era. Gen X was the X. We're marked out, right? We are the generation with no purpose. We're the generation who's apathetic. We're the generation that's the shoegazers, and that there's no hope. We're very cynical. Joseph and I have talked about this in Force Center, and Joseph Scrimshaw, as always, says it more eloquently than I, but just like, we have a hard baked in cynicism that's snark because, and people will reference school shootings and things now. Yes, please put that on the shelf right now for this conversation. In the 80s, every day you woke up with the threat of the Red Army's going to not just invade, drop a nuke on you. There's hope. There's no hope in the world. It was drilled into you. And then the middle class was falling. The American dream was slipping in front of us, and we just felt we had no place in it and no good guide forward. Old institutions were still in place. They were starting to fall. Maybe you're starting to question the church more. Maybe you're starting to question your political leaders, especially post Nixon. Obviously, that was part of what was going on. We went from Ike, pristine, perfect Ike, without a doubt, to Nixon. And what do we do? So I think some of but not, if this makes sense, the reasons we thought we'd be Gen X, X'd out all of it, probably weren't true. But it ends up that way because now your generations too, we all feel like we have no place, that the old systems have destroyed our place in all this. So I still feel my generation has to fight through the cynicism to find a belief in things. I'm not here to put I've laughed at South Park many times over 20 plus years, so I'm not here to put poke them, but there's some truth to like that show, especially when it emerged in the 90s, spoke for us of it all sucks. And that's not true. That's a bad, dangerous position. Mm-hmm. But we didn't care because we felt we had no reason to. And so we have to grow and push past that.
Beautifully said. Yeah, I think the feeling of why did they screw us, the big they, is something that is kind of universal. I mean, the boomers don't have it about the greatest, from what I've gathered, because why would they? The names are what they are for a reason. But I think that maybe a lot of the continued angst of X, even as you guys have become our parents, is more so like, damn it, we were supposed to be the change. We were supposed to be the rebellion. And have we? And is there a George Lucasian I've become the system type thing that continues to ironically fuel the anger?
And we got Ken say we should just collectively call ourselves Generation Freefall, emotionally, financially, just pure air. Yeah, a lot of us are dumbfounded right now.
Yeah,
there's some who've done well, and I. Again, I know I don't like speaking in generals, but those around me, we're all dumbfounded about how we just have no place. We don't own houses, we don't own property, we don't own businesses, we don't, and a lot of us don't have kids, which is our choice, which is my choice to make too. But yeah, it's just there's a malaise. There's always a Gen X malaise. That's grunge, and I wasn't a huge grunge fan. I was a 90s fan of more the alt music scene and the alternative rock, and my jam was more a Gin Blossom song than a Nirvana song back in the day. But that came out of that Seattle gloom, came out of why we have big hair and makeup on Sunset Strip. This all means nothing, and that's where it emerges from. Well, Dan at Food in My Beard says, well, you say I'm 20-something, then I should be slacking, but I'm working harder than ever. You could call it macking. That's a song lyric. Thank you. All right. Final question of this segment here.
Yes.
We're doing good, Alden. You and I, we're going to get this done within under 90 minutes. Alden, this is a very serious question. I need you to answer it. What's it like to be thirsty and cosmically conscious at the same time?
It's a fine line. And we touched on this a little bit last week, and not, so I'm not going to make everybody go back to this timestamp, but we talked about my Lord and Savior Dua Lipa releasing a new song, and then you joked, but you were also serious in that I try to balance the lusting for an attractive celebrity with also respecting that human being. And I think that the balance is that I think there's a healthy amount of stay in awe of them. Like that when you're aware of what we're all going through, and I'm aware of the fact that she's around the same age that I am, then that enables me to be like, well, she's probably got all the same problems. She just happens to be successful. She just so happens to be in the position that she's in. So you remind yourself that these are people, but stay in awe of the character of the persona, and you separate those two. That's why, like, she's dating an actor right now, and every time she's dated somebody, people will tag me and be like, oh, you must hate this guy.
This man.
Like, no, I really don't. Like, I always joke, I'm like, why would I boo someone for ascending Olympus? Like, we need people. We need
We need hope.
heroes.
Keep
We need
hope
hope in these
alive.
times. Yeah, like
Yeah.
we like Trevor Noah got seen with her kissing her in New York, and now she's dating
Hmm.
some actor, and it's like good for them. I love love. Get out there. Who cares?
Okay.
Like, it doesn't affect me. Um, I like the idea of them, and then also I like people, attractive
Yeah.
people. So who doesn't?
Well, yeah. Okay. This is great because it goes back to even my first question of you all, generally speaking, your generation knows who you are. You are, not free enough, but you are more free to be your true self.
Mhm.
Express yourself. Again, we need drastic improvements in that realm, but compared to where I was in the 80s, there has been some slow progress. So I look up to y'all for that. And then I'll see you post something that's like, that's a very thoughtful take. And Alden he knows the important things in the world. And he's here for the right social issues. And then the next post is Dua Lipa's ass. And I'm like, I can't, I can't reconcile the two sometimes.
The thing is that it's like with that, it's like you talked about, like the 80s and the 90s, like you would probably if she existed then or whoever her insert was, you would probably throw her poster up or whatever her
Yep.
most scantily clad poster was. And
Yep.
I don't own one of those, but what I do have on order is the cassette tape release of her latest single.
Yeah, and I think again, this comes from me looking up to you and your generation. If done, and there's still some in your age group who are probably doing it wrong. You know what I mean? But I think it comes from for me, a little bit of a heightened sense of what was done wrong in the past. Right? I came up mid '90s, graduate high school '94. I'm in radio from '95 to '98. Come to LA, doing comedy. That same. I'm smack dab in the middle of what is kind of sometimes called lad culture, which came out of
Mm,
England. But it's like,
mhm.
it's a little bit. I'm a big Oasis fan, but it's a little bit of that girls, football, and pints of beer, right? And magazines reflected that. I had subscriptions to Maxim, to Stuff, to FH Him, which was For Him magazine. Like I had all that. We'd watch commercials of Paris Hilton making love to Carl's Jr. burgers, and that was the fun. We just talked. There's an episode coming out on Force Center next
Yeah.
week, where we taped it yesterday. Taped again because I'm old. Recorded yesterday, where we talk about for a while. Every commercial was two hot women wrestling in a pool over some kind of product. And I look back, and I, as a straight white male, benefited from that gaze at that time. I look back and go, well, that wasn't the way.
Yeah.
That
I
wasn't
think
the balance. And I have shame at it going forward.
I think part of it is also like my age group. We were the ones. We were raised on a very hokey, what we thought was cheesy and okay, yeah. You all
Hmm.
always say that mentality of our programming, our shows, our parents, our teachers, our
Hmm.
administrations drilling into us, probably to correct that what you're speaking to. Um, you're pretty on the inside.
Hmm. Hmm.
You
Hmm.
have so much more. You're funny, you're smart, you're good at this, you play an instrument, you do all these things. Looks aren't everything. That's like that was
Right, right.
so burned into our brains in elementary school to curve bullying that I think, and it whether it succeeded is not for me to say. I'm not a parent or a teacher or anything, but
Right.
I think that it did sit in our minds and create a like, do I think that Dua Lipa or Florence Pugh or any of the people that I'm crushing on are like carved from stone, gorgeous? Of course I do. But also, that's just like one of 20 things
Right,
that,
right, right,
like, if
right,
I
right.
just thought that, it wouldn't stick in my mind at all.
Yeah.
And I think that's very much like there's a million pretty people, but have any of them recorded this song? Did any of them give this
Right, right.
performance? And that's
Yeah.
what stays for I think
Yeah.
our age group is that they want something to believe in. Like outside of the AI freaks and weirdos that have been making the rounds, there isn't really much of a Taylor Swift presence that's about the fact that she's gorgeous and
Hmm.
tall and all. You don't really hear that. At least I don't. It's not like, oh,
Hmm.
Taylor Swift and that sparkly bodysuit and her long legs. That doesn't really happen. It's always about what she's saying.
I like it. No, and I say this from point of like, I'm not gonna suddenly, post a bunch of pictures. I also have a part, but I have a partner who's is a beautiful woman who's an actor and has her own brand army account that I have no problem people checking out. She'll post pictures. I even feel bad about liking her pictures, and I know how wonderful she is.
You who
I'm
lives
like,
with this person.
I don't want anyone to think I'm horny.
Yeah.
You know,
You're in the
like,
kitchen like, can I like this?
yeah, I'm like, ooh, I don't. It's and I got friends who do this, friends who I respect, who I love, who I work with, and I'm just like, well, I'm not gonna like their picture. They're gonna think I'm a creep. Yeah, it's like it's finding that balance. But I look at you, I laugh a lot of times to myself, not at you, but just like, look at Alden go. Look at him
It's just
go.
like I think containing multitudes is the joke, but it's also true. Like from
Yeah,
our perspective, because I think a lot of people in my age group have different accounts too, or they do photo shoots as well, or like whatever it
yeah,
is, or people that I just know through work, and it's just such like when I like those photos, it just becomes like get that money, good for you, keep scrolling.
yeah,
Like it doesn't even stick in my mind in
yeah.
that way,
Okay, yeah.
and yeah, and
It's so
part of it
funny.
is the whiplash. I mean, the emotional bandwidth we've talked about. It's the sometimes there is a whiplash of like I can't celebrate the fact that this photo shoot of my favorite pop star is amazing because the world's burning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And so
yeah.
yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. It's like, what do you read about today? World War III or Dua Lipa's new photo shoot? Yeah, it's tough. That's great. I wanted to save this for the end. It's wonderful. I love that you and so many in your generations are saving the world and also being thirsty as fuck. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
Drink responsibly, my friends.
Drink
Actually should have
responsibly.
been about us.
Yeah, no, that's the final point on that is like that because I was you talking about your dating question. I
Mhm.
was not raised by my father. My father was not like that. He still is a very calm and collected, nice, respectful man. But like the society, friends. Yeah, again, I was a late bloomer, so I didn't date in my
Mhm.
teens in high school. I didn't date into my mid-20s. I was a shy little boy in my room recording radio shows, being on the radio actually in my 20s. But I was told, "Oh, you got to be aggressive. You got to," and it's just inherently treating those who you're attracted to like objects, right?
Yeah.
That turns into a very marketable lad culture. There's a reason WWE was like nuts to superhero characters. We're doing bra and panties matches, and look at the ratings. Like that was it, and so it's drilled. And I was a little out of place with that, right? I was a little out of place with that. I'm not saying I'm a hero. I'm just saying didn't feel comfortable. But it was only one lane was drilled into me. You're
Yeah.
getting 20 lanes drilled into you, and that's good.
Absolutely. So that's the
It is.
introspective portion of this.
Yes.
Now for the
Yes.
tiny fun portion.
Okay. Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. All right, we're sonically changing to this. Do you get this reference game? We might do this a lot. I had a show on GPA. You can still watch the old episodes of my channel here called Internet for Old People, where I brought on old people in my generation or above, and we talked about things that we only knew. But so we got some questions. My prediction is you just like in 8th grade, I told my friend's dad that one of my favorite songs was like 59th Street Bridge song "Feeling Groovy" from Harper's Bazaar and Simon and Garfunkel, and he was like, "How do you know that song?"
Yeah.
Like, I was
Yeah.
that kid.
And
You're
I've
probably
always been that kid where
yeah,
I've always had an interest in older material. And as
yeah,
you know, people listening probably know, my first professional gig was in classic rock. So
yeah. So what do you want? Do you want to flip a coin? You go first here, or I go first?
why
What do
don't
you
you,
want?
yeah, you lead. Let's go in order.
Okay, here we go. This is our do you get this reference game? Ken versus Alden. The winner gets to survive. It's the Hunger Games of pop culture right here. No, all right. Alden, who is baby Jessica?
Uh, it's a crime or an accident. I'm not sure if they determined the cause, but she fell, right? Like like a national news story about a baby who fell from something.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you.
That's about as far as I can get with it. But I don't know if she was
Okay,
thrown or if she was an accident.
Okay, I'll give you half a point. In October of 1987 in Midland, Texas, baby Jessica fell into a well. She was
Oh
18 months
well.
old. She was down there for I think 56 hours. It was during the World Series, Minnesota Twins versus St. Louis Cardinals. So back then, all the world, all of America was watching the World Series because that's what we did. We had 3 channels or whatever, and
Yeah.
news breaks would come in. Baby Jessica's fallen. She's singing Winnie the Pooh, and then some worker born without collarbones was going to go down again. Finally, they got her 56 hours, and she comes out. She's like 37, 38 now.
Can I talk about this real quick?
Yeah,
The well kid.
the well kid.
Do you think she's stuck with that now, even as a grown woman?
I think she still is. She sent it, Ken Plum, which is a great. I think this is a Simpsons reference. Sending our love down the well.
Oh,
Yeah, and
no.
yeah. So you're right. So I'm gonna give you a half point. You're there, baby Jessica. She fell in the well, and I still think it would have been a big story regardless. But
Yeah.
it happened during the World Series, where most of America, whether you like baseball or not, is watching the World Series, and it played out in front of us during innings of the baseball game.
I shudder to think about what would happen if that was happening now. I don't even want to think about memes or tweets or anything.
Oh God! Oh my God! All right. Kind of rapid fire. What network did Peter Jennings anchor for?
Jennings is ABC?
Bing, you got it. Okay.
Okay.
Tom Brokaw.
Brokaw, I can't decide if he's CNN or NBC. I'm going to say CNN.
Incorrect. Dan Rather.
CBS.
Got it. Okay. It's good. You're good, kid. You're good. Kid.
Rather's the easiest one, I think, because I've read like the 24 or 25 year run and the
Yeah. Brokaw's NBC.
Okay.
President Gerald Ford, which is Dana Carvey's version of him. Awesome. That's great. I grew up in the last era of the anchors.
Yeah.
Of the anchors. And you had Ted Koppel on ABC Nightline, different thing. Walter Cronkite, Laser Bolt. John Chancellor, passed away, the narrator of the Ken Burns the baseball and Civil War docs, was great.
Yeah.
All right.
Our crop of them aren't the same. Not as iconic.
No. All right. Final round. This is you came up with this part of it. Quotes, rapid fire quotes. Well, I got quotes and a fill in the blank. Just go with me here, Alden.
Sure.
All right. First one. What's this from? Sit on it, Potsy.
Ken, I have no earthly idea what this is.
Yes, I got one.
You're stumping me now.
Happy Days. Sit on it, Potsy.
Okay.
It's also from our house because I used it to Grace once, and she was like, What
Which
is that?
character is that?
There's the character Potsy, but I think it was just a general, sit on it, Potsy. He'd say stupid things. He'd just sit on it, Potsy. Happy Days. Molly Dave, got it. All right. What's this from? If Ken Plume's in chat, he's gonna laugh because we were just talking about this the other day. What is this from? Would you like to buy a monkey?
That's a movie. What's it called? Something. I keep wanting to say Canteen Boy, but I know that's the sketch. It's close to that, right? I'm just blinking on the name.
You're so close. It is Chris Elliott's Cabin Boy. And it's
Cabin Boy, not Canteen Boy. Very different.
You're so close. Not Sadler's character, but it's David Letterman's cameo, which he then brought to the Oscars, and it's one of my all-time favorites. All right. Complete the song lyric. Aunts, ties.
Sounds like you're counting, and it like you're like this is like an angry like German counting scene or something. I have no idea what this is. What is this?
Ties, feet times a matey. That does not ring any bells to you?
No, I mean I know obviously the original,
song.
Yeah,
it is. It is. Funny. Yeah, Ken Plume's got it. Feet times a matey. It is Eddie Murphy's iconic. Buckwheat sings the classic sketch from SNL from about 1982.
Buckwheat sings the classics. That's great.
It's and again, it's what my it's a if I go unstice, Plume will jump in and say feet time. That's just weird Gen X stuff. All right, final one. All right, this goes back even kind of almost before my time, but it's iconic. Complete the sentence. Don't squeeze the what?
Oh my god. I don't know. I'm gonna guess baby. You wouldn't squeeze a
I mean,
baby.
don't squeeze a baby, especially if they're down a well.
That's my guess.
Don't squeeze the Charmin. The
Oh,
Charmin. Kingsport Cal's got it. Brian Taylor's got it.
so
Different
Charmin,
spellings, but
the actual
toilet
brand.
paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Don't
see,
squeeze the Charmin.
we're Charmin Bears kids.
Yeah, yeah.
They
Oh,
had
you
already
got
moved
bear. You
on to
got
the
bears.
animated bears.
You got
Yeah.
bears wiping their asses in the forest in your commercials.
I
We
love
had
the
it.
Charmin Bears.
We had an old guy saying, "Don't squeeze the Charmin." Yeah.
My ex-girlfriend's favorite meme on the whole internet was a picture of the Charmin Bears, and it just said, "We fucking love shitting," and something about it just made her laugh every time.
All right, all right, all right.
Cool.
That is my. You did wonderful. You did wonderful, sir. All right. I'm gonna hit me. Take
Sure.
it home. Take it home.
First thing, are you familiar with the terminology? It's so over, and we're so back.
Yes, I don't know where it originates from. I think I am like my pals Ricky and Elliot over at Internet Today. They do the "We're So Back" thing, and I like they're not the creators of it, but they're the only ones that I can think of that it comes from. You know what I mean? Like I don't know where it originates from.
Everybody in the comments right now, tell me if you're so back or if we're so over. Just pick. It started, I believe Jared will probably give me the entire history on this because he loves the deep dive into weirdos. But it started out of the 2016 early Trumpian era, and it was started on like forums and everything, but then it just leaked out into applying to anything. And so if you got up and you stubbed your toe, Ken, you could say it's so over. But if you went and after stubbing your toe you found $1, we're so back. Like
So back.
And it applies to everything. And there's like flow charts of, like
yeah. Okay.
Some people live in between back and over. There are specific versions, like anytime Joe Biden does something dumb, it's Jover is a thing that has become a big thing.
But we gotta hope that November he's so back, right?
We have to hope that he's back, or else it'll be over. And sometimes it could be over and back at the same time, like the Oscar nominations, a series of back and over.
God bless you. I see. Okay, I would have generally it had something to do with Trump and politics because that's why Elliot says it all the time. But the way you take things, I admire the way you take things and just incorporate it so well into your daily lives.
Yeah. See, look, right now the chat is agreeing that we're back. Anytime is back. We're back. That's good.
Got it.
Second thing.
That's good. Okay.
Ken, do you know what a decom is?
A decom?
DCOM. What a decom is.
Not DC. Oh, like DC movies are back or over. Okay. A decom.
Just what is a decom? There's a whole bunch of them.
Is it like a direct message communication? Which I know you would just call a DM.
Would you like me to tell you, or do you want to take
is it a douchebag communication? A communication from a douchebag? A decom?
The other Ken knows. Would you like me to reveal the answer?
Yes, I've never heard of this.
Decoms was the colloquial wording and eventually the official branding of a Disney Channel original movie. And we
straight to VHS?
No, Disney Channel. I mean, they might have VHSs. Like High School Musical is the biggest one of them ever.
Okay.
Smart House, Xenon Girl of 21st Century, Taking It to the Mat, Halloween Town. These are Disney Channel original movies.
Disney Channel original movies.
Press I have to pay respect to Ken right now. Epps in the chat for Ken. Brink is another one. Luck of the Irish is one of my favorites. The 13th Year.
Yeah, it had where's that comment from 894? My nerdy ass thought it was a computer science term. Yeah, I thought maybe it was something I had to do to program my Commodore 64 to play Lode Runner. Like okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
see, Molly Damon's with me. All right, so I am technically 0 for 2.
Now this final one, all the quotes that I submitted from my rapid fire quotes are from the same thing. Everybody in the chat, refrain from spoiling it. We're gonna do this as a Can Ken get it before we're out of clues? That's how we'll play this one.
Okay.
There's the quote, soiled it. That's your first one. And then you tell me if you need another one.
Euphoria?
No. Okay, the next one is F is for friends who do stuff together.
It's a lyric from a Taylor Swift song.
No, but she could probably make it work. Fine dining and breathing.
Harold and Kumar go to White Castle.
And the final one. I wumbo, you wumbo. He, she, we wumbo.
Joe versus the volcano.
Ken, these are all quotes from SpongeBob SquarePants.
Oh my God.
And I honestly could have done about 30 of these that every single person in my age group would have immediately gotten.
My old roommate for about 8 seasons was the story editor on SpongeBob.
Really?
Casey Alexander. He told me not to watch the show. Like we played Tony. He'd go to work. He'd come back. And my other roommate was a guy named Aaron Alexovich who helped design for Invader Zim and wrote this great comic that's out there. A ton of great comics. And we didn't watch the shows they worked on. That was work. We played Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
What do you want from me?
Every single person right here sounding off with their own Krusty Krab pizza, bring it around town. My glove action figure has glove accessories. Wombology, evil. This true. I hate to say it like this because they're not comparable. But in terms of impact on vernacular and dialect, this is SpongeBob is the Seinfeld of our generation.
Wow.
It is so you could.
That makes sense though.
I could walk into a crowd of people my age and yell chocolate and everyone would know. The other night, Jerry the Cannon Junkie, we were on a call and there was someone who was bald and I just started saying the word bald repeatedly and Jerry screamed like the other character in the scene. It is that thing of everyone jumps in and starts acting it out.
So this is I got it. It's seasons 1 through 8 of The Simpsons for my generation. Like every year, I'm in a fantasy baseball league for now 25 seasons. Every year, you have to check the money that the owners have on the teams. Every year, we turn to our commissioner Jay and we all go money fight, which is a Simpsons Mr. Burns reference. Seinfeld. Yeah. Me, Mark Ellis, and Josh can communicate in Seinfeld quotes. Like I get it. I understand it. I never would have seen SpongeBob as that, but I understand it.
It's just mass. I could answer the phone and say, "No, this is Patrick," and there's a whole group of people that will just get it. It's and I'm not. And here's the thing: I'm not even saying I'm the biggest fan of it because I'm not. Right. But it's cultural, linguistic.
Yeah, it was just there. Yeah, totally. Wow, yep. I failed immensely. I kind of thought I would, but I give you points.
But it's easier to look back.
It is easier to look back, but you didn't fall down a well, but you hovered over it, and I'll give you a point for it.
Hey.
All right. We're going to do a quick look at entertainment stories before we get on out of here. Alden, what do we got?
Yeah, so obviously, for those that are just joining us a little bit later, we got the breaking news of the passing of Carl Weathers. That happened. I'm not sure if it was today, but his representatives did, the customary confirmation to the trades and everybody.
He said yesterday, passed away.
Yesterday, then. And I mean, we touched on it already a little bit, but just a peak example of somebody that could move throughout the generations. And one thing that I've been talking about already with friends that have been texting me is like this idea that he got this last act and joining Star Wars wasn't just, oh, Carl Weathers is cool and Star Wars is going to beat people up. He played a jovial, fashionable, thoughtful character who cared about this baby and cared about starting over. And so much of Star Wars is about growing up, but it's really become about restarting. And I think that he was able to do that multiple times throughout his career and just seemed so kind.
No, that's great stuff. The planners, Mr. P, that's cross cultural effect there. That's great. Sad to see that go.
Absolutely. I also wanted to touch on the passing of Mark Gustafson, passed away at 64. He most recently won an Oscar with
Oh,
Guillermo
sorry.
del Toro.
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking at the costume credit. Sorry, continue.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, for
Mhm.
Pinocchio, he was also worked on Fantastic Mr. Fox with Wes Anderson, and he animated the Planners Mr. Peanut campaign, and
Yes, that's
he's just been all over this world, and I cried
Mhm.
my eyes out at that Pinocchio. So I just wanted to
Yep.
salute him. I didn't animators sometimes they live less public lives, so it's hard for me to say as much about what he was like, especially
Mhm.
Del Toro being the public side of that partnership. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely shout out to him. Um, and outside of that, we have two other entertainment stories. One of which we'll punt and talk about. I have to
Mhm.
at some point talk about this Larry David Elmo thing because it really pissed me off.
It pissed
Um,
off a lot of people. I'll
it
be fair,
pissed
I
me off
haven't seen the full
creatively.
content.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
pissed me off production wise. And you know who I thought of? I actually thought of Joseph Scrimshaw.
okay.
Who understands the sanctity of performance and has a lot of thoughts about it. It really,
Mm-hmm.
really bothered me. Just socially.
Larry's my guy. I
Yeah.
love final season starts Sunday. I just saw clips of it. I didn't see the whole context. Hit me, baby. Hit me.
Yeah.
What's
So
going on?
the quick version is that they were both on the Today Show separately. Sesame Street because of the Elmo stuff that went viral and promoting,
Mm-hmm.
and they're in their 54th season, and then Larry later on for Curb.
Yeah.
And Larry off script interrupts the Sesame Street segment and starts fake punching and grabbing the Elmo puppet. And the puppeteers had to try to salvage it. And they said something about, Larry, you're supposed to ask before you touch people. And you could tell that it was like a thing, especially because he was made to apologize,
Mm,
which I don't think he would have done if he wasn't made to.
Right. Right.
And it bothered me, not because it's not like haha funny. It bothered me because he's a veteran writer producer, and it just was like, are we still trying to ask people to accept that children's television matters? Because now those puppeteers were working, and you
Yeah.
have now inflicted your tone onto their work when they are one of the only bastions of let's talk, let's be respectful. They're trying to have a moment, and then you don't turn it into live action Curb because you can. It just felt so
Yeah.
like, don't make it your performance.
Right.
Children,
Because
that's a child. That character's a child.
yeah, I was a kid. Got it. Okay. Yeah, I'll take it. I trust you on all that. I trust you on that. Larry's 76. He's ready to get out of here, and
That
he
too.
pushed it. He pushed his power too far.
Which they even said to him. So like, yeah, we'll get over it. But it's just if it's Sesame Street, Muppets, or Fred Rogers, like we should let those things just exist because we don't
Let
have
them be
them
what they
anymore.
are. Don't soil them.
Yeah.
Don't yell soiled it as you go into it. See.
Soiled it. You got it.
Yeah.
And then the last piece of news, in corporate news, Spotify is striking new deals with all its biggest hosts, like Alex Cooper from Call Her Daddy, Rogan, unfortunately. And but the thing I wanted to note is that none of these deals have exclusivity. They're pushing them out onto other platforms now, whereas
Okay.
before they were only Spotify, which tells you we killed cable and we killed all these things just so we could make new versions of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so happy for them. I made $18 last month from Spotify on my podcast. I'm glad I'm glad Joe Rogan's going to pull through.
Yeah, same with Bob Iger.
Yeah.
Really happy for y'all.
Yeah, really good. Yeah, but as Maddie says, they still won't pay their artists. Yeah, what times? Yeah, we didn't even talk. Yeah, the TikTok Universal thing. Interesting. Good stuff. Good. I want to apologize. You were talking about Carl Weathers. I faded away. I always like to be honest in my broadcasting. I got an alert that there was a PayPal fraud thing going on. It's good. I thought I just bought $600 of crypto from my PayPal account. I did not. So I was trying to be present with you, Alden.
No, it's okay.
Look over and I'm like,
that's the crypto that can turn it all around.
this is it, baby. This is it.
That's it.
So Mark Gustafson, Carl Weathers. I'm a big fan of Carl Weathers too. So you said wonderful words.
Yes.
I'm sorry for kind of messing that part of the show up.
Cheers to both of them.
Cheers indeed. All right, we're almost out of here. Thank you all again. Next week, we'll be live here on this channel, but also live on the Anytime with Alden channel. You can find the links for that channel down below. Subscribe to it. And the week after, everything goes over there. I'll still be doing stuff here on my channel as I normally do, but we'll be over there and more. Final thing here. Yes, sorry. Jerry says, I almost put all on Smoking Apes. Absolutely.
Smoking Apes are back?
They're back, baby. They're back.
They're back.
Our final segment of the day is our pop rocket word of wisdom. And, you know, Alden, this can be considered egotistical and self-centered and Gen X, but I'm going to do it. Our pop rocket word of wisdom to leave on is my own, from the song I co-wrote with Brian Tiller and Sean Arnold called Last Step First. This is the first page of the second chapter, the one you never thought you'd write, but you get to sing it and tell your story and do it to your soul's delight. And it's all making sense. The losses and the failures that put you here, why you're sitting on the fence. Oh, let me tell you about the universe. It's up to you to write the next song verse. That is the final track from our 7-song EP, that is out there, Broken Pieces and What Remains. But as of today, we have some new music exclusively up on Bandcamp for now. It is our single, the special one, with some additional tracks and fun, cool things, some alt takes. Then our song, Good to Bleed, we have something called the Old Handsaw remix, which is an amazing take on that song. And then we got some new music coming out in the spring that we're working on. It's been a lot of fun. But that's kind of also where I'm at. I wrote that song from a place of truth, of where I'm at, trying to write a lot of next chapters in my journey, and that's kind of where I'm at. So it's promotion, Alden, I'll be honest, but it's also, hey, I got to listen to myself sometimes.
Ken's building his personal brand, and if you have a problem with that, do I have a Vox article for you?
That's so true. So that is it. I got to run. Alden, thank you so much. I had a lot of fun, and we'll do this again, and maybe we'll bring some more people on. Maybe we'll do a cultural exchange roundtable. Because I think it's important to communicate and have the generational input going both directions, owning faults, owning victories, and I appreciate your answers, and very enlightening stuff, buddy.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated.
All right, we're out. We'll see you next time. Anytime with Ken and Alden. Subscribe to that channel over there. Go into the comments of my Taylor Swift video and just laugh at people. All right.